we're not back just yet for the final F2 race of the season. However, we are in for a great weekend of racing in Macau. Welcome to Formula Talk. My name is Sophia. Joining me as always is the lovely Tom Downey. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Oh, that's good to hear. So we are reviewing and previewing the Macau race weekends and discuss new news in the motorsport world. But before we get into this episode, we must thank our sponsor, which is BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games, available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device today to sign up and get in on all the action. Remember to use our promo code, which is BLEAV, that is BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And also, make sure you're following us on all our brand new social media channels at Grid Talk UK to stay up to date in the motorsport world. So as mentioned, there's a lot of racing going on, and we have the 70th anniversary of the Macau Grand Prix. So it is a 2-weekend special with last weekend and this weekend coming. Formula 3, and Formula 4 will be taking place with a lot of familiar faces. We've decided to do a special Formula Talk episode for that, and also to discuss some new news in Formula 2 and Formula 3. So very many different disciplines taking place, from F3 and F4 as mentioned, to GT, to touring car, and even motorcycles on the tight and narrow streets of Macau. The structure last weekend, which was for F4, was a single free practice, a qualifying race, and a feature race. Some of the key drivers to mention are the McLaren development driver Bianca Bustamante and Hendra Davis, who was the vice champion of FRECA this season. There are 23 drivers from many different teams, but the only noticeable team that probably most people recognize is the SJM Theodore Prema team, who actually had some interesting results for the F4 season. Bianca was driving for the Black Arts Racing and Hendred for the Race GP. Structure of last weekend was a qualifying race of 8 laps, and then the feature race taking place on the Sunday for 12 laps. So technically it was 20 laps for both. Looking at the results, we had Red Bull Junior Arvid Lindblad, who we won't be mentioning later on because he has moved into Formula 3 for next year already. He pretty much had a clean sweep of the weekend. He won the feature race, he won the qualifying race, and he started on pole. So very good hat trick for that. Looking at the feature race, because that's where most of the points were, it was a clean sweep of Prema finishing first, second, and third, with Freddie Slater coming in second and Hongqiu Long coming in third for the Prema team. Bianca finished 9th in that race, and she qualified 10th. But looking forward to this weekend coming, we have a longer race schedule starting on Thursday with a free practice, qualifying 1 on Thursday as well. On Friday, there's free practice 2, and then qualifying 2. Saturday is a qualifying race, which is 10 laps, and Sunday is a feature race, which is 15 laps. Now, Tom, we have some names that are currently racing in various disciplines, from Formula E to IndyCar, F2, F3, and FRECA. What are the key names that you think are taking place for this weekend?
God, we've got all sorts of names. I suppose probably the biggest one, certainly on my mind, I'd say Richard Verschoor, probably one of the biggest names there. Sophia Flores, she obviously years ago had that horrific accident at Macau. I think it was 2017, I want to say, maybe 2018. It's good to see her going back there. I mean, I would get shouted at profusely, as everybody knows, if I didn't mention Zane Maloney is there, because, a fellow Barbados person, there we go, got him already. Yeah. Dan Tickton, yeah, cool, he exists. Yeah, I'm not going to give him the time of day, to be honest. Dennis Howard, another big name. Isaac Hadjar. There are some big names there from F2. Also Pet Marty from F3, he's there. Campos, Luke Browning's obviously there. Paul Aaron, Gabriel Mini. And also, you already mentioned Ari Boyer's there as well. So there's a good mix across the grid. We still have one TBC car for Carlin, but we don't know who's going to be in that seat. And bearing in mind, Sorry, go on.
It could be Callum Ilott because he posted that he was traveling yesterday.
Oh my God, imagine. I'd like, especially given he's out of an IndyCar seat thanks to the Grosjean taking the, was it Junker Hulinos? I can't remember how you say it, but thanks to him taking that seat after he...
He'll be joining his mate, Marcus Armstrong, as well, because he's racing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although Armstrong's with MP Motorsport this weekend alongside Hauger. But no, it'll be interesting to see who's going to be in that, I'd say second, I think it's actually the third, Carlin. And bearing in mind that we practice is in 2 days? It's Tuesday today. At the time of recording, it's 12:15 UK time on the 14th of November. Nice. They better get someone in that seat sharpish. That's all I'll say on that one.
Yeah, it was taken from the provisional entry list on the website, so obviously things could have changed. But yeah, it got some really good names. So pretty much it's the same teams that we get in Formula 2 and Formula 3, which is Genzer, Prema, High-Tech, Campus, Van Amersfoort, ART, Carling, and MP, and Trident. So yeah, it's quite a big mix. Other ones as well, Oliver Gurther, who's re-signed as well, Tommy Smith. I'm really excited for it. It should be quite a good one because some of these guys have raced in Macau many years ago as well. As mentioned, obviously Sophia Flourish, and there's a few other ones as well. So it's a really good mix of it. So it's the Formula 3 World Championship. So it's not fully affiliated to the F3 season. It's a special for it. I'm really excited. As always, when we have a preview, we always have our predictions. Tom, I would like to know what is your qualifying 1 pole, your qualifying 2 pole, your podium for the quali race, and the podium for your feature race.
Oh, heck.
Putting you on the spot.
And then some. Cheers, mate. Quali 1, I'm going to say Dennis Hauger. Good F2 campaign behind him. He's always been pretty consistent. And just thinking about Macau, if he really wants to back, one of the F3 drivers or something, but I just think with the nature of Macau, but then again, F3 were really well behaved around Monaco. It's just this way or that way, and it's just, yeah. I'm going to say Richard Verschoor for second pole. As for the quali race, I'm going to say Hauger's going to win. So I'm going to go really left field. I'm going to say Gabriel Mini P2 in the quali race, and then I don't know. There's so many unknowns. There's so many unknown quantities in this. I'm going to have to say the same Maloney P3 because if I don't, then you'll insult me. That's a joke, by the way. Just in case anybody listening is not sure. And then the feature race, I know. I really don't know. Because again, like I said, they're going to be 29 cars. The field is so open. You've got a mix of F2, F3, IndyCar, and Formula E on here. So it's what do you look at? There's no.
You've got some Frecker and some Indy Next drivers as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say about Richard Verschoor to win the podium. To win the feature race, and then I'm going to say Mary Boyer P2, and then I'm going to say Hadjar P3.
Okay.
I may be completely off.
Yeah, we just don't know because obviously I was watching some of the highlights of the F4 races, and the feature race is a good one to watch. Really good battling, but there was 3 safety cars that took place with it. But the streets are narrow, and there's nowhere to go, so anything could happen. I think I'm similar to you for some of these predictions. I think pole, I would say, because he has background on it, I would say Richard Verschoor would take the first pole. I think probably second, Paul Aaron to take the second qualifying pole. I think podium for the first race, Richard would win. I want to say probably Marcus Armstrong to come in second, because again, he also has history at Macau. And Dennis Hauger P3. For the win for the feature one, for the more 15 laps one, I would say pool. It's because obviously these are all different disciplines, so it's just you don't see IndyCar and Indy Next with F2 and F3. So I think let's go at Isaac Hadjar to win. I'll say Paul Aaron to compete too. And just because I think it'll be a nice thing to have, I think Flourish to finish P3.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Especially with what happened to the last time she was here with that horrendous. She had spinal injuries and everything.
Yeah, she was out for a few years and everything.
Yeah, I'd love to see her on the podium.
Yeah, I think she will do well because obviously she has a lot of backing, and obviously everyone does know about what happened, and I think it's also a good motivation for her to do well, and I think it definitely is possible. But if you want to watch it, it's all on YouTube, and there's also playback options to watch everything that takes place. And again, you don't have to watch just F3. We got GT, we got touring, motorcycle racing, so it's a full-on weekend of racing with many different disciplines, and even some championships taking place and deciding over the weekend. But if you've enjoyed this podcast, we would love it if you would take 5 to leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify or a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you're one of the 72% of people who have not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider helping us out with a like, subscribe, share, or follow. Now, going into the second part of the Formula Talk episode, we got some F2 and F3 news. Starting with F2, and this is going to be a little bit controversial, I think, we have Joshua Durkinson. Yeah, he joins Formula 2 for PHM Racing. The 20-year-old just comes off his second season in FRECA, where he has earned 1 podium in Spa. So pretty much, he has skipped Formula 3. And we mentioned Kimi Antonetti last episode. But no hate to Josh. This one I think is a lot tougher because he's not won anything. Kimi has won FRECA. Josh has had a podium, not even a win. He's not vice champion. He ain't that qualified, I don't think, to it. And again, I've not watched FRECA as much as I have this season. I've seen the highlights, but I just feel like this jump is a bit worse. He's been racing in single seater since 2019. He came second in Formula 4 that year, Formula 4 UAE. He competed as well in German and Italian F4, where he finished 8th and 11th in the standings. In 2020, he made the return to the German F4, achieving 2 wins and 4 podiums to finish 6th. He secured 6th in the standings in 2021 in Italian F4 with 2 wins and a podium, and then going to FRECA this last season, where in his rookie season he finished 14th. Right now, he has been involved in some of the postseason testing in Imola, and will be doing that for Abu Dhabi for Formula 3, not Formula 2. So, Tom, we talked about Kimi. What's your take for Josh jumping over?
I think he's far too big a jump too soon. We talked about it last time out, and yeah, he's nursery to F1 basically. I know that's a weird analogy, but some of the drivers we have in F2, drivers who have come through in the past, your likes of your Leclercs, your Russells, your Piastris, Lando. I know he didn't win back to back, but he still won F3 and then came second in F2 to George Russell. Not a bad person to come second to in F2, let's be fair. And you still have the likes of De Vries and Albon and others in that 2018 F2 season. F2 is, whilst there are some drivers in there who will, obviously back in the GP2 days, and then, obviously with it being F2 these days, there are obviously some drivers who won't make it to the top levels of single-seaters. And when drivers get to F2, having gone through F3 and, Formula Regional or Alpine, whatever it's called these days, I still remember it as Formula Renault 3.5, to be honest. Your drivers will go one or two ways, having worked their way up. They'll do time in all the series. So you'll have the drivers who graduate to F1, or they might sidestep to Formula E, or they might choose to go out to single-seaters into sports cars. A good example of someone who was actually, I think, in Macau this weekend in sports cars is Raffaele Marciello. He was in GP4. Oh God, he was in there for 2-3 seasons, I think. I think he left in about 2017 because he joined Mercedes as a work driver for the AMG GT3 project. And he actually won Le Mans last year in his class. There are some very good drivers in F2. They are the next generation. There's a reason it's called the road to F1. because it is ultimately a direct feeder series to F1, and you either sink or you swim. And we've talked about it before. There are some damn good drivers in F2. You look at the likes of Ollie Behrman, 19, actually tearing it up. We're likely going to have Bortoleto going up from F3 into F2. I don't know if it's been confirmed yet, but it's almost guaranteed it's going to happen given he won F3. So it's just... I just think for someone who is not exactly set Frecker or... I didn't think he was Frecker. He was Formula Regional UAE, I think he said. And then Formula Regional, was it Germany and Italy? I just think that, don't get me wrong, as a junior driver, everybody dream, or most people dream, and get into F1. And how to get there? You get there through F2. But you need to get to F2, you need to get to F2 largely on merit and with a bit of financial backing. Because I'm not oblivious, and I know that F2, it costs what, 350, 400 grand a season for a seat, something like that, in euros, maybe a bit less. I can't remember. I'm going off like 2017 figures, so I'm trying to add a bit of inflation in my head. Maybe that's a bit much. Point being, it's still not cheap, and it's a fiercely competitive environment. Like I've said, you've got the next generation of best drivers in there. Yes, I'm going to probably semi-repeat what I said before, but you have drivers who are going to be the next F1 world champion, and that could be 5 years, could be 10, 15 years down the line, because obviously we don't know how F1's going to go. Point being, you have drivers who will be the top of whatever discipline they go into. And I just think for a driver who's not had the experience and hasn't had the successes in the lower formulas, I just worry that he's being basically set up to fail by effectively buying his way into an F2 seat. I'm happy to be proven wrong by him.
No, yeah, I think it's just because obviously he doesn't have as much accolades compared to others. However, he is taking the PHM racing team. So currently that is Roy Nassani and Joshua Mason. So obviously Joshua Mason came in mid-season, and they're a team that's been flagged with so many funding issues and drivers changes. So we knew, my assumption was Roy Nassani. It's not confirmed what his season will be for next year, if it is confirmed a season. But obviously because the second seed, the Car 17, has been in and out of different drivers for these last couple of races, I think just having some consistency might help. And it might be also some more funding. Josh could potentially bring in some funding that we've not really thought about. I think it puts more pressure on him because he's also moving up with Kimi, and Kimi is one Freca and Josh is not. And he's not even been the vice champion. So that's Hendren David, actually, who was raised obviously in Macau last weekend, and he's not even moving up into Formula 3 yet. We don't know because there's still a lot of teams not confirmed for Formula 3 and also for Formula 2. So it has fluctuated a bit, but I think it just adds a lot of pressure, and we'll see. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how everything goes, especially with the Abu Dhabi testing in Formula 2 afterwards. The season ends and some of the time in between before we get started in the 2024 season. Now, other news, we have Dennis Hauger has decided to leave the Red Bull Junior Development Program for next season, but he has re-signed to MP Motorsport. He'll be joined with a new rookie, Franco Colapinto, who has moved up from Formula 3 to Formula 2 and will be racing with MP Sports for the 2024 season. Zach O'Sullivan, who finished second in the Formula 3 Championship this year, the Williams back driver, will move for ART, which means either Teo Porcher or Victor Martins might not have a seat. However, Teo Porcher, so I think they're preempting Teo to probably win, and they have an empty seat. But if he doesn't win, who of those two drivers is Zach O'Sullivan replacing? That's the big question.
Yeah. If Porcher wins F2 in Abu Dhabi, then it's a fairly easy answer. If he doesn't, I don't know. Because you would say Porcher will probably do another year of F2, and if he doesn't win it next year, then he'll be asked.
Because both of these drivers are good. They might get seats somewhere else, though. But Teo Porcher, ART, has the history back with Sauber as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It probably would be Victor moving to somewhere else, potentially. But again, where? Because
we're
still figuring out teams. It's not all confirmed yet. Like, a lot of them aren't confirmed for next season, so.
Is Victor Martins a Mercedes bike driver?
No, Alpine.
He's up. Yeah. So I really don't know. That's the thing. I don't know, and I don't want to call it.
We'll have our answer when we preview and review the F2 race that's taking place in Abu Dhabi, not this weekend, but the following weekend. So definitely make sure that you are subscribe, share, and follow all our social media channels when those episodes drop on YouTube and also wherever you listen to your podcasts. Moving on to Formula 3, as mentioned in our previous episode, we only had one driver that was confirmed, which was Dino Bogdanovic, who is racing with Prema again for 2024. However, Prema has finally finished up the lineup, the only team to actually have any driver or a whole team confirmed for the 2024 F3 season. Gabriel Mini will be returning to race with Prema. I'm excited for that one. And as mentioned earlier in this podcast, after successful Macau, however, it was announced beforehand, Red Bull Junior Arvid Lundbad will be joining Prema for 2024 for his rookie season. Still no other drivers announced. I'm expecting probably again a lot because obviously we just finished some testing a couple weeks ago as well. So I think the biggest thing is not just the performance, but also financials as well and who has better backings for some of those teams. Moving on to the last bit of news, we have IndyCar. Now, silly season and shakeups have been absolutely chaotic these couple of weeks. All the teams besides AJ4 has the driver lineup completed. There are a few that are to be confirmed, as some teams are deciding how many cars they actually want to put in, or if some of them want to do ovals only, or the Indy 500, which is very common. David Malukas has moved into McLaren, and Kyle Larson will be competing in the Indy 500 with an off-McLaren Hendrick car as a rookie. Linus Lundqvist, who was the champion in IndyNext 2 seasons ago, who stepped in this season to replace one of the drivers who sustained a medical injury in racing. He has a full season alongside another rookie of Kyffin Simpson coming from IndyNext. That one I'm not a big fan of because Simpson's has not shown as much progression and results. I don't think he's even had a podium in the IndyNext season that just completed, but he does have a lot of financial backing, so that should be interesting. Marcus Armstrong will be racing in the ovals this year, following not competing last season in the ovals. IndyNext winner Christian Rasmussen will participate in the non-oval race, with Ed Carpenter will take the oval ones. However, Christian might actually be racing in the Indy 500. It's still to be confirmed. And as Tom mentioned early on in the podcast, Grosjean has left to go to Hunker's Hollander for the season, leaving Callum Ilott without a space currently. Felix Rosenqvist, who was with McLaren, has now moved to the Meyershank Racing for next season. It's all coming up because IndyCar has got a few testings coming before the season starts in the new year. We'll see. AJ4, they have 2 seats, 2 drivers, 2 cars, maybe a third car. I know some of them, Chip Ganassi is maybe downsizing from 4 to 5 cars down to 3. Obviously financials as well. We're still waiting to get all the proper confirmations of everything, and we will be previewing the Indy season as an episode of Formula Talk in season 2 of Formula Talk next year. Is there any other news you can think of, Tom?
Not really, it's my birthday next week, but I don't think that counts.
The non-motorsport news.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Make sure you're following us on social media so you can wish Tom a happy birthday then.
Oh, please don't. I don't see my. You see like people in restaurants where people start singing. That's like that's like my idea of hell. Just
a nice message on Instagram.
Yeah, a message, yeah. But it's when you see like people doing, just leave it out, man. It's depressing because I'm 29. It's like next year I hit 30, and it's just like, come on. I was 21 like 3 weeks ago. It's like, where's it gone?
Oh God, yeah. Tell me about how it feels so.
You're still young.
I'm 25. But
yeah, exactly. You're 25.
So I feel like I skipped over my 22, 23, and 24 years. Obviously, COVID did obviously have an impact on that. But yeah.
Mate, trust me, you'll blink and you'll be my age.
But it's inevitable to happen anyway. But yeah, it should be interesting. Moving on from that, thank you for listening to our special Macau and news episode of Formula Talk. Formula Talk is available on YouTube, I'm not going to say where most of the episodes are live, even though I just did, because obviously
they're not live.
Yeah, they're not live. But you can still find us on YouTube when we do release the episodes. You can also find us on Amazon Fire, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Music, Verbal, and Pocket Cast. Just search Grid Talk for our backlog of shows. As mentioned, we are the sister show of Grid Talk, so pretty much that's how you can find all the Formula Talk episodes. You can find reactions to our races and previewing races and news. For Grid Talk, you can find our previews and reactions to qualifying and race results. Please consider supporting our channel on Patreon so we can get mics, lights, and better recording equipment, and make sure that you are subscribed so you're the first to know when each new episode is released. We'll be back soon to review Macau and also preview Abu Dhabi F2. I'm so excited. It's going to go down to the wire. It's going to go to the feature race, not the sprint race. I'm excited to see who the champion will be. We'll be back soon. We're playing more motorsport content. Thank you very much for listening to Formula Talk presented by Bet Online. Bye.
Bye-bye.